Hey, what's up you guys? This is Dylan Distorted, and today we're going to be going over the subreddit r/entitled parents. This subreddit is the one that made me want to start doing these videos, so let's hop right into this. And remember, I am entitled to 1,000,000 views, so you better give it to me, or else I'm going to cry. ED is upset when I won't let his son play with my daughter's heart monitor. As requested, another EP story featuring my kid's health issues. This is a bit of a long one. When my oldest daughter was born, she had some significant heart problems, NICU for a while, and then at 10 weeks, she developed some disease that I'm not going to try pronouncing, which basically means that her heart would beat excessively for no reason at all. She was in pediatric ICU for 2 weeks after nearly dying from organ failure. She's fine now. This particular incident happened about a week after she was released from EQ. She'd been sent home with a portable heart monitor. We went to the cardiologist once a week for the batteries on the monitor to be charged and the readings to be checked. On this day, we were sitting in the waiting room at the pediatric cardiology office. Wait times were insane here, as there are only 2 doctors for the entire region, and it wasn't unusual to wait 30 minutes or longer for an appointment. Entitled Dad and Bratty Kid were the only other ones there. But here we are in the waiting room. My daughter is asleep in her car seat carrier, and I'm lightly half dozing. Something touched my knee. I look down, and Bratty Kid is there. Hi.
Is that a real baby?
Yes, it is.
Is it a boy?
My daughter was dressed in yellow sleeper with pink strawberries on it, lacy pink socks, pink hat. No, it's a girl.
What's that?
He's pointing to the heart monitor. That's to make sure her heart is beating right.
Can I play with it?
No, sorry, it's not a toy.
I'm bored.
I look across the room and the dad is flat out asleep. He's actually snoring. Why don't you go talk to your dad then? At this moment, I'm called up to the insurance desk to fill out another form. BK has gone back to his dad, so I left my baby there as I was about 4 feet away. I turned to go sit down, and ED is awake and walking toward me.
Do you have a toy my son can play with?
Nope, sorry.
He says you do. Give it to him.
I don't.
I need a nap. Just give him the toy so I can go back to sleep.
There is no toy. You should have brought one for him if you wanted to sleep so bad. If looks could kill, he went back to his side of the room and I sit down. About another 10 minutes pass, daughter is awake now and hungry. I'm digging through the diaper bag. As a first-time mom with a child in and out of the hospital, I haven't had the time or energy to develop a system for the bag yet. So it took me a minute. By the time I found what I needed, my daughter was screaming, and so was her heart monitor, the cords of which are in BK's hands. The loud beeps from the disconnected monitor wake up ED. ED shoots out of his chair.
The fuck is that?
I don't even get time to answer before a nurse rushes out to us. She drops to the floor to check my daughter. Meanwhile, I snatch the heart monitor from BK's hands.
That's mine. Give it back.
Why are you taking his toys from him?
Go back to sleep. It's all you seem to be good for. He grabs my arm and yanks the monitor from me to give it back to his kid, who promptly drops it. Nurse picks up the monitor. You need to leave now. This is sensitive medical equipment. If it's damaged, we're billing you for it.
You have no right to talk to me like that. Do you know who I am?
You're the guy who's about to get arrested if you don't leave now. On his way out, he screamed profanities at/about me, the nurse, and the clinic. His wife, who'd been in the back with the doctor, was told he was banned from the clinic and was handed a bill for the cost of the monitor. A few weeks later, during another appointment, the nurse told me he'd sue the clinic for emotional trauma. It was dropped when the clinic countersued for the cost of the monitor. Hey, it's nice to see an entitled dad here for once. They're far and in between on this subreddit, so I'm glad the entitlement from my gender is being well represented. You already have one brother. My daughter has none. Let me have him. Bit of backstory. My dad used to be in the Navy and was a single father of 3. How on earth he did it is beyond me, but he's a spectacular dad and somehow managed to raise us on his own with the help of my grandparents and the occasional nanny when he was overseas. We lived in base housing, where everyone knew everyone and everyone had kids and family. It was honestly the safest and most relaxed setting one could grow up in. Being my dad was single, whenever we were out playing and dad wasn't with us, my older sister stepped up and was in charge of us because she was the oldest. Lucy, our across the street neighbor and the nanny for the street, would sometimes watch us, which I was fine with because her daughter, Sarah, was my best friend. This happened when Lucy and her family were out of the house. My older brother and sister were still at school, and I was told not to wander too far from the house while outside playing. We lived on the corner lot and had the biggest front yard, so it was common for most of the kids to hang out at our house. But I was too young to go to school, and aside from Sarah, there was one other kid my age in the immediate vicinity, and she was across the street, shyly looking at me while she played with her toys in her own yard. Eventually, she left her toys and came over to play and introduced herself.
Hi, I'm EK.
"Oh, I'm Kyle," I replied. I don't remember saying much after that besides just picking at the grass and looking at the clouds, and maybe riding bikes around the corner of the neighborhood. Pretty sure she called my house boring, to which I said that having my brother and sister around made it less boring, because then I could go to the park. She frowned and said she was an only child, but that also meant she got a lot more toys. She then asked me if I wanted to come over and explained she had a super cool merry-go-round in her backyard. Of course, to any kid, that sounds like a good time. "Hold on," I said, excitedly. "I have to tell my dad." Just then, my sister came around the corner, talking with my brother. Instead of going to my dad and telling him, I ran up to her and told her where I would be. "And where does EK live?" she asked, looking over at the blonde girl sitting on the lawn. EK pointed across the street. "Okay, I'll come get you when dinner is ready," she replied. "Don't forget to tell Dad too," I said, running off to join EK as she walked towards her house. We went into her house, and it was like stepping into a veritable toy box. Toys everywhere, ranging from Barbies to Hot Wheels, and even some Legos. I was in shock. I had never seen so many toys. She casually walked past all the toys and guided me to the backyard. There it was. A small merry-go-round. I immediately ran over to it and hopped on, kind of pushing the thing with my foot to make it start up. She jumped on too, and before we knew it, we were having a blast. Her mom, EP, came out, and all I can remember of her was that she was an absolute unit with somewhat messy blonde hair, wearing a hot pink shirt and jeans. Yay, 90s fashion! She was watching us play, smiling and enjoying the moment while she sat down and smoked. It occurred to me I had never seen this family before today, and it made me feel a little nervous and a little awkward to have some adult I had never seen before watch over me while I played with someone I just met earlier today. Eventually, EP called out that she was headed inside to make dinner and I was welcome to stay. A couple minutes passed, and I think EK could sense something was wrong with me, so she brought me inside to play with some of her toys. I tried forcing myself to ignore the awkward position and started playing with some Legos. About half an hour passed before I heard a light knocking at the door. Curious, I peeked out the hallway where the mom was answering the door. It was my sister. "Is Kyle here?" my sister asked. "Yes," EP replied in a condescending tone. "Can you tell him dinner is ready and Dad wants him home?" my sister politely asked. EK must have snuck her way behind me because all I heard was a huge drawl of breath before she firmly yelled the word,
"No!"
I turned around and there she was, stomping her feet and crossing her arms, looking a lot less like a friend and more like an entitled stranger. EP leaned against the door, taking up the entire frame and probably doing some damage to the hinges on the door, since I assume it couldn't support so much weight. "Well, why doesn't he come and get his kid then?" she asked accusingly. "I'm in charge of him," my sister shot back. "I don't care, Missy. You have another brother. My daughter doesn't have any siblings. Do you really need this one back so soon?" she replied. My jaw dropped and immediately all kinds of alarms were going off in my head. I could tell my sister was reacting the same way because there was just silence on the other side of the door. EP slammed the door in my sister's face and my eyes began to water because now I was alone with two people who I barely knew who were not allowing me to go home. EP saw this and immediately assumed I was crying because I didn't want to go home. "Don't worry, darling. I won't let her take you home. Now wash up for dinner. It's almost ready," she said in a sickly motherly tone.
"Yay!"
EK replied, apparently not hearing her mom asking us to wash up as she gleefully skipped after her mom. I went to the bathroom alone and faked washing my hands. I turned on the faucet and let it run as I quietly made my way to the door and slipped out. I ran across the street and went inside to where my sister was stunned and my dad was telling me I was late for dinner. She clearly hadn't told him because he never said a word about it. This all happened years ago when I was about 5, and I had almost forgotten about it until I visited my hometown earlier this week. My dad got out of the Navy to be more of a presence in our lives, and he did a great job raising us. The story has been something my sister and I had kept between us. In a way, it's almost as if I walked out on my own child abduction. How entitled do you have to be to think that you can claim another person as your own child just because they have 2 boys in their family? Like, it blows my mind. This is another person. This is a person that you're trying to claim. A person that is someone else's kid. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed this video. This has been r/entitled parents. I love this subreddit so much. If you have a suggestion for the next subreddit, leave it in the comments below. If you have a story you want to submit, you can either comment it below or you can send it to dylandistortedsubmissions@gmail.com. Like the video if you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and peace out, Girl Scout.